To throw Steve off by going alphabetical order like they did last night on TBS. With Joe Viscresci. All right, Steve, I'm not going to go through each individual bracket individually. I'm going to go through all the first-round games. We like Virginia, Maryland, Baltimore County. No issues there, right?
Right.
All right, 8-9, Creighton and Kansas State. Who and why?
I got Kansas State. I'm a Bruce Weber guy. I think he's as good a coach as there is. I think they're playing with some good swagger right now.
So you like Kansas State to get out of that game. All right, yes. Kentucky Davidson. This is a 5-12. You got to take Kentucky?
You got to on talent, but I wouldn't want to play that game. It's a 5-12 either because Davidson has some really good players and obviously as good a coach as there is in the country.
How difficult is it for both of these teams, but especially Davidson, to have to play Sunday, Washington, Thursday night in Boise? That's a tough travel.
That is a tough travel.
With attitude, with altitude. That's not going to be that easy.
You better believe it. That's a tough one to ask, but he's as good a coach as there is in that first round. Coach McAuliffe, he's been around.
Though. He knows. Yeah,
and he's got some good guards, and that'll keep him around that game. But I think Kentucky's playing really well right now.
All right, Buffalo competitive against Arizona or no?
I will tell you, one thing Buffalo does, Nate Oates is a really good coach. They average 85 points a game, and they've scored 80 or more 24 times in the season, which is a lot. It took us a week, Chris, to score 80 points sometimes. So this is a team that really can score. I don't know if they have enough for Arizona's talent, and Aiden is playing as well as any player in the world. And so I would expect that to be a little closer because they can score points, but Arizona.
All right, Miami of Florida, always a little sporadic sometimes. You never know how the Larinaga team's going to be. Loyola of Chicago, nobody folks know that much about this team. They won the first time in the NCAA in a long time. You got a sense of this game at all or not?
Well, I mean, I've seen Miami play a lot. We played them last year. They have a lot of the same players back. They're very talented, and Larinaga knows how to coach at this time of the year. Porter has done a good job at Loyola. This their first go-round. I think it's always tough.
So Miami.
Yeah, I got to give Miami the nod. They have terrific talent, Miami.
Tennessee. Now, listen, Barnes has had trouble in the NCAA, but they did a good job in the league. They beat Purdue. They played Kentucky well. This team did a nice job. Give me some. I think they lost to Purdue, but they had a good conference regular season.
They had a great year, I tell you, and they came from nowhere. There wasn't a lot expected, and Coach Barnes does a really good job. They played hard. Boy, watching that game yesterday, too, they gave Kentucky everything down the stretch. I mean, that game was a tough game, but I got to think Tennessee over Wright State,
Tough game for Wright State.
Right.
A lot of people like Nevada. They can score. They had a bad game against San Diego State. This is against Texas, a team that maybe is fortunate to be in. Can Nevada win this game?
I tell you they can, and they have the two twins. They're transfers from NC State, the Martin twins.
They got two? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, one's a defender, and one can really score. Caleb scores, and Cody can defend. They're tough kids. They got some high-level players. Nevada's gonna be a real.
You want to take Nevada in this game?
Yeah, I would take Nevada right now, and I think the loss in the finals, they had such a good year. I think that kind of wakes you up too down the stretch. Sometimes those L's right at the end aren't a bad thing. It kind of gets your attention. They regroup a little bit.
As long as you know you're in the tournament, they did lose. They were down by 30 at halftime. Cincinnati can't score, but against Georgia State they should be okay. Correct?
Yeah, Cincinnati's going to win that game. They defend and rebound like no other team.
All right, so there's our first round in the South. All right, let's go to Xavier. Will win against where will they play? Right. We're going to write them there. Missouri and Florida State. Porter took 17 shots in 23 minutes. Florida State's very erratic. They can be great or they can be a disaster. That's a very tricky game on Friday night in Nashville, the 8-9. Who do you like?
I like Florida State. We played them this year. Obviously, they're very talented.
Didn't you beat them this year?
We were right there in the game. We ended up losing by 6 points, but they are very talented. They got good size. Leonard Hamilton, obviously a veteran coach, but when you add those great players at the last minute to your season, I think that's a hard. All year long you've played without him, and now he's taking a lot of shots.
17 shots he took in 23 minutes.
I think that's a tough adjustment for teams. So I'm a Florida State on that one.
All right, Ohio State you like. Now San Diego State had a great finish in their conference tournament. They were down 6 late in the game against New Mexico the other day, and they went on a great rampage and one going away. But Ohio State too tough here, huh?
They really have had a great ending to the season.
Oh, San Diego State.
Oh,
they
my
really
God.
have.
They've won.
Remember, Fisher's not there anymore. They got the new guy in.
Yeah, Dutch, right? And I think they've won 11 out of the last 12 or something like that. Ohio State's good, though. They got a complete team. They play well together. They have one superstar that's hard to match up with. They're really well coached. I think Ohio State wins that game.
All right, Gonzaga beats North Carolina Greensboro. Mark Few, good coach, right?
No doubt about that.
All right. Houston, now this is an interesting one. Houston, a lot of people think they're good. They're out of that American. I'm not sure if I believe in them. And San Diego State. Who do you like in this game? Tough game to call.
Houston.
You do like Houston.
After watching them the other day, I kind of watched them twice now down the stretch here, and I think they've done a great job. They play hard. They got a lot of weapons. I would go with Houston in that one.
And you love Michigan against Montana.
I love it. With time to prepare, maybe the best coach in the country.
You know what? Good job. And then this is a hard game, too. I mean, I would probably take Providence from what I saw. Now, Providence is not a great offensive team, but they're big and they're strong against the Texas A&M team Friday, early Charlotte, North Carolina. How about this game?
He's got him playing well, Ed Cooley. He does a great job down the stretch there. Was splitting his pants. They had a heck of a weekend. You know, so I'm going with Providence as a hot team down the stretch.
You're going to take a Big East team in this spot, a 10 seed, and then Carolina, no problem against Lipscomb. So they go with Carolina. All right, that's the one half. Let's go to the other side now, and let's start with the East. Villanova. This is not Monmouth. They almost lost a few years ago to them, if you remember correctly, against LIU, Brooklyn, or Radford. We'll take Nova there easy in that first game. Hard game to pick. Virginia Tech won it. Virginia. They also beat Duke. Alabama's got the great player, the freshman. Who do you like?
I tell you, that's going to be a great game. So there's a pick 'em there. I'm going with Virginia Tech. I think they're tougher. But Alabama has played well, and they got star power. I mean,
is this kid a great player?
Yeah, I mean, he could have came out last year to be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Out of high school.
Absolutely. And he's got that kind of swagger, and he's got that kind of game. He won't be on the board for long. Hoping the Knicks take him. They can use a guard like that.
Oh, you like him that much?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, West Virginia, and we discussed that a little while ago. Wichita State, now, they're not quite as good as normal, and Marshall's got D'Antoni there coaching them, that's brother, and they can score, and they did a nice job in their conference tournament. How about this?
They really do score, Marshall, and he does a great job. He wins those pro sets, just like his brother.
Who was at the game, by the way, the other night, the game that they won in the conference championship. Go ahead.
But I think, Wichita State's been there, done that, and they'll be marching on.
And he's not an angel, Marshall, but he's a hell of a coach, right?
He really is. I mean, he does a great job. I think he's one of the, great X and O's guys in the country, so.
You like him. All right, let's go Florida. Now, you picked St. Bonnie's.
I did.
Against Florida. Guards with his, Mike White last year, regional final, lost to South Carolina. I don't know that much about Florida here against the St. Bonnie's team, but you mentioned their backcourt.
I just think size when you start getting to those games, Florida. And I think St. Bonnie's is good, though. When you have those good guards, and they're playing with some tremendous confidence, but I'm going with Florida. My heart says St. Bonaventures, but how
hard is it for a St. Bonnie's to play Tuesday late at night and then have to travel to go play in Dallas on Thursday night?
Really hard.
That's an NBA schedule.
You better believe, especially with the excitement that's going around their program. Hard to sleep. You got a lot of preparation in a short period of time. I'm sure Florida's already preparing. So I think that's a tough one to bounce back and come back with that.
Now, you have seen teams win that playing game and get momentum, Shaka Smart. So it's not impossible, but in this case, a tough spot. All right, Texas Tech, a team I'm not that familiar with. Now, I know Austin because they have won games in this tournament before. He's a good coach, that guy, and does SF Austin. Could they beat Texas Tech in this game?
I don't know. I think Texas Tech is playing at a high level and a lot of players there, physical. That Texas Tech team's a good team.
Oh, they are, huh? There's an example of that team I'm not familiar with, and you like them. Butler and Arkansas. Arkansas played very well down the stretch. This is Friday in Detroit at 3:10 against Butler.
I'm more familiar with Butler. I've seen Arkansas play a few times and always impressed at how they play and the coach. But Butler, I'm picking Butler and a little bit of an upset there.
Is a 10-7. All right, you like Butler here? Now, I saw Butler on Friday night. They were not good against Villanova getting killed. That's not the worst thing.
I think sometimes before that, especially when you're in, I don't think that's a bad thing. And if you're going to lose by a lot. You get your guys' attention in a hurry. You're going to have great practices building up. That's a proud program with some good players. They got good guards, too. So, that'll be an interesting game. And they played the best of the best Villanovas and have had tremendous success.
A good point. I like what you said. Sometimes you're going to lose, get bombed. You get everybody's attention that way.
There's no doubt.
All right, Purdue. You sound like you like Purdue against Cal State Furlan.
I'm taking Purdue.
Easy, all right? We put them down, no issues there. Kansas, we're going to put them down. They're not going to lose to Penn, right? Is this game going to be close?
You know what?
Is this game within 10 at the half?
I think so. I think Penn will hang around. Steve Donahue does a great job. They'll hold the ball. He'll do a good job managing the clock. And, Kansas is terrific talent-wise, but I think they will, but they won't have enough at the end of the day.
That one guard is good. I watched Penn play a little bit. There's Legler, what's his name?
Yeah.
He's a good little player, that kid.
No doubt.
All right, Seton Hall, team that you beat in the regular season against NC State. Seton Hall has not played well in the tournament the last couple of years. Here against the Wolfpack with a new coach, Weeks, who came out of there from UNC Wilmington.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, and they play that pressing style like Louisville. He came from Louisville, Coach Keats, and does a great job. But Seton Hall, veteran team.
A lot of
Kevin
seniors.
Willard does a good job. They've been there before.
They're due to win a game. They lost to Gonzaga badly. They're due to win a game in this tournament.
Desi Rodriguez makes big plays for them. Carrington can play. They got the big fella in the middle. I think that's, Seton Hall's year.
All right, so you like Seton Hall to win a ball game here, all right? And then at the bottom half of this draw in the Midwest, we got Clemson. Now, I like to see Brownwell, who was in trouble before the year began. And good to see him get through this. Now, this is New Mexico State. This is the one you thought the 5-12, you would take the 12 seed here in this game. If you got extra bonus points.
You know what? I'm just, I'm taking a flyer right there on that. I've seen them play a couple times, New Mexico State. I think they're a unique team, and they're playing well at the right time. And, I think sometimes teams like Clemson that have been fighting to get there kind of get satisfied. They got into the tournament, weren't expected. We'll see how that one turns out.
Not that confident. What the hell? 5-12. I had the coach on, matter of fact, the Charleston coach last week against Auburn. Pearl's good in the tournament. They got a good team, good backcourt. Can Auburn get it? They had a bad second half against Alabama in the conference tournament. Can Auburn win a couple of games in this tournament?
Yeah, definitely can. They're talented and again, good guards, good veteran guards. Mustafa Heron can play anywhere. I mean, they got some power guys, and I think the way they lost that game, I think it helps them. They get a little attention. They got smashed, and I think they'll move forward.
All right, Jamie Dixon, who knows about playing Boeheim in Syracuse, is that an advantage for TCU?
Absolutely. When you've played against that zone and you're used to it, I think it really is. And TCU's talented. They've had a great year. He's a good coach. He's been around. I think
never a lot of success in the tournament. He's been burned a couple of times. His teams never could score. Can this team score a little bit, TCU?
Yeah, they can, and they're a talented group, and I think they're a hungry group too, and I like that part of it.
Bucknell got a bad draw because this team could be dangerous if they had a better team, but Michigan State's going to be too tough for Bucknell, correct?
Michigan State is talented, and he's a good coach with time to prepare. They've had a lot of rest now. They have star power. They have the good point guard. Cassius Winston can really run a team and can shoot the ball at a high level. Bucknell got the toughest draw for the 14s.
I thought so. Yeah, no question. And Izzo, can this team win a championship? Are they talented enough to win a championship?
I think they can. And looking at the bracket, and I'm saying I kind of like his bracket for him. He's a little better than they gave him a 3 seed. They won our league outright, and they have some terrific players. And Nick Ward is an inside guy that can play anywhere. So they got inside power. They got some shooters on the perimeter. And they got Bridges, who's a hybrid guy that can go inside and outside. And they always defend, and they're relentless in transition.
Are they as big and physical as they usually are?
They're big and physical, yeah, and rebound too. So they got a lot of pieces, and he's a great coach.
I like Rhodey to beat Oklahoma.
I have that too.
You do like that one?
Absolutely, and Coach Hurley does a great job, and they have E.C. Matthews can play anywhere. He's got a little star power.
The lefty.
He can score with anybody, and I like that one too.
All right, Duke, you're going to take, right, against Iona, despite the fact you think Iona could be dangerous.
I like Coach Kluse. I love him, and he does a great job. But that'll be a dangerous game for Duke, but Duke.
All right, let's go back to the other side now. Virginia, Kansas State. Now, I don't know who Steve picked for his Final Four. We're going to find here as we go along. How about the Virginia, Kansas State game? You say you like Snyder against a Virginia team that's going to defend you to death in this spot.
They really do, and they shorten the game, and people aren't used to playing the way they play. They chop it up. They got Ty Jerome, a New Yorker who can really play. He's a really good guard, and they got Kyle Guy, another guard who can shoot it and play. They have.
Krzyzewski mentioned his sixth man. He's got a great sixth man that he likes an awful lot.
I tell you what, they in the way they play, they only need 6 or 7 guys, and they don't foul, and they play great defense. But what they do best, everyone talks about how great their defense is. They hold the ball on offense, so they don't have to play a lot of defense. Teams nowadays come up, shoot quickly. Now you got to play defense for the whole shot clock. This team holds the ball, a lot of shot clock, countdowns, and then they don't have to play defense as much. So I really like their style. Virginia will win that game, I think, moving forward.
Easy they win this game? Double digits?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But a double-digit win for them is like a 20-point win for anybody else.
That's a good
the way
point.
They hold the ball.
You can't fall behind against
You can't, and they make free throws, too. So
they do make their free throws?
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Right. Kentucky is Steve Pikiell doing a great job. How about Kentucky, Arizona? Everybody loves this game in Boise. This will be a Saturday night, 8 o'clock game. I can guarantee you that. The big kid against Kentucky. Who wins this game?
I like Kentucky, Calipari in this. He's got the young youth that believes in themselves, and Knox can play. So I like them moving forward, but that's going to be as talented a game. The NBA people will be loving that game.
Is the center that good for Arizona?
He is that good, and he's kind of a stat stuffer, too. He'll rebound, he'll block shots, he'll get assists. He's not just a scorer.
Would you take him over Bagley if you had the first pick?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think he does a lot. I think he does a lot more, and I think his upside, and Bagley's great, too. You're picking straws here, but he's really good. I think he's the best player in the country right now.
So you take Kentucky. All right, Miami and Tennessee. And that game would be in Dallas on Saturday. How about that?
I like Miami. I think Miami's good. They got Walker who can score. They got Lyles, a little point guard out of
he's
DC,
tiny, but
tough as nails. He got swagger. I've seen him a lot in high school. He was one of those kids that put anybody around me, we're winning the game kind of guys.
Oh, you love kids like that.
Oh, I love them.
Coaches
love them, and he's got that swagger. And so I like that team, and Coach Larinaga been around.
No, I'd say you're going to take Miami over Barnes.
I'm going to take them.
Here's one, my son, my 15-year-old, who loves this stuff. He eats it up. He loves Nevada to beat Cincinnati.
How about
thinks Cincinnati can't score and thinks Nevada will get the job done here. You take.
You know what? Cincinnati scores a little better than anything. 4 guys in double figures. They got Kane Broom. They got a kid actually transferred from Sacred Heart.
Historically, they never can score in these kind of games.
They really couldn't. And I played them many times where I said to Mick Cronin, first team to 40 wins. One of those things. But this year's team's a little bit different. Clark can really play. He's a matchup nightmare for people. I think Cincinnati moves on.
You do over Nevada. So you got the 2 seed, Xavier, Florida State.
That's going to be a great game. But Xavier, they got too much and too much talent.
You think they're a week 1, but they're good enough to get to the regionals.
Yes.
All right, Ohio State, Gonzaga.
I'm going with Ohio State. I've been firm with this. I think they're good, and I think they have that kind of year where things are going their way, and they got special chemistry.
Now, they haven't played for a long time, and coming off that Penn State loss in the conference tournament.
No doubt. And they had a couple slippage down the stretch, but, I really believe it, and I've spent a lot of time watching them on film. They have the right pieces, and the guys understand their roles. I think teams get caught up in these tournaments. They don't understand, do what you do. And he's got a whole team. All the guys do what they do. And no one goes out of position. So I really like that team.
And Michigan over Houston. You've been high on Michigan throughout here.
I like Coach. You can't go against Coach Beeline.
He is now, especially for Houston, because this is going to be the second game in 2 days. So very little preparation for the Cougars in this game.
Yeah, and add in their tournament and the wear and tear from their tournament. They played 3 games in 3 days, I think, down the stretch. So you got a lot of, there's a little wear and tear on you.
On Houston, and they played on Sunday, don't forget. Houston did play Sunday, and they played Thursday night. So another team with to travel. Providence, Carolina, they played a couple years ago. Carolina did beat them.
Yeah, I'm going with Carolina at that point, although I wouldn't want to play Providence in that second round the way they're playing.
That's a tough game. That's a hard game. Providence is physicality and everything else. All right, let's go to the other side. Can Tech be competitive against Nova? Tech did beat Virginia in Virginia, so they have shown you they can win these kind of games. This is a tall order here, though. That's
going to be a great game, and Buzz will have his guy. They play hard. If you watch them play, that's a tough team. Villanova, I think, has too much, and they got a lot going for them right now. They got, again, when you got the best point guard or one of the best point guards in the country running your team, and he doesn't mind taking big shots, and then Bridges, so you got another option, and Spellman can play.
Pasquale is a pain in the neck.
Oh, he's a matchup nightmare. So you got a lot of answers on that Villanova team.
Here's a tough game to call with West Virginia against Wichita State.
You know what? I mean, that is going to be another great game. I mean, that round here really gets interesting, and I like West Virginia in that game. It's because I believe in that pressure wears you down, and they got some veteran guys. They got the great guard. You know, I think West Virginia will move on.
You do? Florida and Texas Tech. That's in Dallas on Saturday night.
You know what? I'm going to stick. I like Texas Tech. You know, I've seen them a few times, and think they're playing good basketball right now. And I've seen Florida. They've been kind of up and down. I've watched them play one time, and I said, boy, that team is terrific. And next time I turned on the TV, I said they were getting trounced by somebody.
And look at Arkansas. They got beat this week. So you're going to take Tech in this game.
Yeah,
take
I'm going
a Big
with
12
Tech.
team.
I'm going with Tech.
All right, Purdue and Butler. You like Purdue to get?
Purdue. That's... You know, I think Purdue is as good as anybody. I said this after we played them the second time. I think it's a Final Four team.
You do? Well,
yeah.
We'll find out what you think here when we get down the road. Kansas and Seton Hall.
Well, you know, Kansas now.
You want to be a little different and find an upset here and get one of these one seeds out. You can do this.
All right, you like it right there?
Well, you could go. You know, if Hall gets one of their game, they got a lot of seniors and they're not going to be intimidated. So if they get a win under their belt, they could be dangerous.
You know what? And they are senior-laden team. And that team's been through the wars. And I love Seton Hall. I think Kevin Willard does a great job. So let's go with Seton Hall.
All right, you want to
put it down? Let's go. Let's go.
We're not Kansas the hell out of there.
Yeah, get him out. Get him out. Bill Self, he's only a Hall of Famer.
He's not getting fired. I guarantee you that. New Mexico State, Auburn. How about
right.
You can take Auburn?
Yeah, we're going with Auburn at that point in time.
You think Auburn is a Final Four capable team here? Probably not, huh? Not with Michigan State.
I don't know if they're quite at that level, but I think they'll
get a couple wins under their belt.
Yeah, I do.
Michigan State and TCU.
I like Michigan State, so I'm staying with them, and I like all the things they're about. They defend and rebound at the highest level.
Plus the game's in Detroit.
Home game. It'll be packed with Michigan State people. They have an unbelievable following.
So that's going to be an impossible. To beat them in Detroit, 2 games is going to be impossible.
Tough place.
All right, and then Rhodey and Duke.
You got to go with Duke at this point in time.
You like Duke. Well, you know, Hurley's good. Hurley's got some Duke, obviously, with his brother.
You start getting that size, though, with Bagley and Carter. You know, like it's just a different level of size up front. And you got those guys on the back.
A lot of people think you can out-muscle Rhode Island. They're a perimeter-oriented team.
And those are two special. I mean, those are both lottery pick kind of big guys. So those aren't regular bigs.
All right, we'll take a break, but as we do our review. In the East, in the Sweet 16, Steve's got Nova, West Virginia, has Texas Tech and Purdue, Seton Hall, Auburn, and Michigan State, Duke, the 2 and the 3. So he goes chalk there. He's got Virginia, Kentucky. You could have gone Virginia, Arizona. It's the same thing. So that's almost a chalk pick. Miami, Cincinnati takes the 6 seed to beat the 3 seed. Cincinnati thinks wins 2 games. Xavier wins 2 as the 1 seed. He's going to stick with Ohio State. Going to have them upset Gonzaga, so he likes the Big 10 here. Michigan, he loves. You can sense it. He has them against Carolina. We continue. 24 in front of the hour on a busy day on this Monday. Stick with us here on Mad Dog.